Share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll understand about Groovy scripting in CPI or cloud integration, right?
Mm.
So uh, basically, it's a scripting language, right? And is based on Java. That's why, if you remember, I said some things earlier when I started initially. Now, see, cloud integration being a cloud product, SAP enhances it very frequently, very frequently, every 2 to 3 months. Like planned releases are like every quarter, but then it is very frequent.
Mm.
Initially, that was not the case, and now that we have GPT and other things as well, from where you can get the scripts. At that time, we had to rely for Java examples. So even GPT used to give Java based coding, right? So it is entirely based on Java. So why I'm telling you all of this is what we used to do is, let's say we're not getting Groovy script syntax. Even if you use Java syntax, it used to work like 80-90% of the time. With slight adjustment, it used to work. So ultimately, it is based on Java, same principles. Um, uh, but Groovy for us is used specifically in CPI for any scripting needs. You can also use JavaScript, but Groovy is more popular. Okay, so why is it used? To though CPI is a low code no code platform, which is meant to be like using your palettes and other functions to do your job. But when that cannot solve your purpose, you need custom logic, right? And to write that custom logic, you need a scripting language, which is Groovy.
Mm.
So like it says, so it can be used for data transformations, like JSON to XML, although there is a standard palette for that, but sometimes um, the structure of JSON to XML is such that the standard palette fails. That's where we can use Groovy to do that. Then, if you want to do some field manipulations, this I was telling you the in the last session, where in within the message mapping, you can also use Groovy as a custom function, right? So that is an example. Then if you want to execute some validations for that, also you can. So any sort of custom logic, when the
Mm.
standard is not able to solve your purpose, or in some cases standard writing the same using the standard palettes will take a lot of complex, like will become more complex than Groovy, then we can use Groovy, right? So these are more examples: custom header properties management, dynamic routing, logging is a very good use case. I'll show you that today. Security, sometimes this not so much, because now CPI has all the features, but sometimes maybe, if again the same case, if CPI is not able to handle using the standard features, then you might use Groovy for these steps also. So, like I was saying earlier, we should use Groovy wisely, because for the long term maintenance of it, if you use standard palettes, it is more user friendly, developer friendly. But yeah, there are use cases where you cannot serve it using that, so that's where you use Groovy. Okay, now what are the basic concepts within Groovy? So let me first show you. This is the structure of Groovy, the default structure of Groovy when you create a script right from scratch. Let's actually do that one, right?
Mm.
Uh, Share my cloud integration. Okay, I opened empty, almost empty iFlow. And if you want to add a Groovy, you go here, type Groovy script, drag it here, and then you have all this sub menu, and you click on create. For now, if I show you, it has just a name and processing. There's
Hmm.
nothing. So it actually creates a file. So if there are two options. One is that you can upload from your system. Like in this case, I have created this, and so it became a file here, which is usually we use. And the reason for that is, now see, if I create one, so it will create locally, but the name is script2, and I cannot change this name. So the only like I used to ask my developers is, because we had, if in a normal project for a client you have to follow the naming conventions, right? So for that, what we used to do is we used to create it in a file and then upload it, and then you keep working on it. So either way you can do it. So this is the
Okay.
structure, right? This is the same structure which I have put it on my notepad. So let me take you back. So this import statement, I'm sure you must have done any sort of language, Java or other languages you would have seen. So you should know that this is like a library, com.sap.gateway.ip.core.custom.dev util message is a library, and
Hmm.
why we import it to make available all the functions within that library available. This is the default library which comes in when you create an empty Groovy script, and this is used for use within CPI, right? So this is very, very CPI specific library. Now, on top of that, sometimes you use other functions. Then you use libraries like java.util hashmap, and there are many multiple libraries. All the Java libraries are also applicable, but we have to be mindful. I mean, some of the library. I mean, sometimes you can get an error, which means that this library is not available in the CPI, and then you have to find the appropriate library. Okay.
Hmm.
Now the basic structure. The main entry point of the script is uh, def message process data, right? So this is just like, have you done oops, like oops programming basics or Java, any such language?
No,
Oh, that's
I
very
know this actually
but
because
but
in training we learned .NET. So
Ha, ha, ha. So, what I was trying to tell you is, like in Java, you have a main class always under which you code, right? So, similarly, here, that main class is process data. Anything and everything you will do within a Groovy, you will use process data. That is your go to. Why? Because process data will contain your message. Um, Obviously, and you want to do changes to your messages within the Groovy, right? That's
hmm.
what the main purpose is, and you take um, that thing in a further variable, right? So let's go here now. So as I said, so this is the import the main CPI message class, right? And then this is to work with headers and properties. This is the main entry point, which is our main class. Then there are always, remember, this was our first lesson, content modifier, right? There are
Hmm.
always three parts of a message: body, headers, and properties, correct? Within CPI. Remember?
Yes.
Okay. So, how do you read a body? Def body means you are declaring a variable called body, and you are using the method of this class which you just instantiated, message dot get body, and then within that you specified the format, in what format you want to read the body, string, or there are two major things, string and input string. We'll talk about that more. And then if you want to, let's say, modify the body, then you can, like, I mean, this is just a sample that CPI gives you, that to teach you that how you can modify the body, right? So if you do this, you will have something called as, I mean, you will have your complete body, and it will say plus modified. I
Okay.
mean, not plus, sorry, just modified after that because of this statement. Similarly, you uh, use a message class to get the headers, set the headers. This is the syntax, and similarly for properties, right?
Hmm.
Though, like I said, we can 80 to 90%, or even more, sometimes 100% also, you can get the script uh, from GPT now, but you should understand how the structure goes so that you know what to ask, right? That is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, the other, so we talked about this message object is the message being processed. It has body, headers, and properties. Then exchange object is the same object. I don't know why this is listed twice, but it's the same object. Headers is, we talked about every message as a header, properties and body. So header contains usually message level metadata. Property is something which is local to CPI. It's like the custom variables between steps. Body is the actual message payload between header and properties, and message classes. So a return. So after modifying the message, this is mandatory. If you don't do this, you will not see any changes reflected. Return message is uh, whatever changes you did, it will update in the main body. Okay. To play with the body, you have get body message. Then you have, for header, you have set header, get property, set property, all of that things. Okay. Listed down the bodies, sorry, commonly used methods as well. Now let's look at some of the examples. So number one example that we will look at it, add message in a file name. So today, if time permits, I also plan to cover the SFTP adapter, because I thought it will be easy to relate with this. But for now, I will show it without the actual file scenario. Okay.
Okay.
So what I've written in this, let me see. Okay. Okay. Let me go to the other one. Okay. So what am I doing here? So the scenario is, I've taken an employee data payload using a content modifier. Just to save time, now you would have noticed I'm not using Postman, because setting up will take more time.
Hmm.
Because I want to focus on the concepts. So I've taken an employee payload. There are two employees in this payload, E101, Jane Doe, and the other one is John Smith, right? And what I am doing here is I'm converting them into a file. I mean, in this you won't see the file, but I mean, this is like a virtual file. And I'm setting header, a new header called file name, with this name. So it will produce a file name called employee data underscore timestamp. So timestamp I'm
Hmm.
forming here using, where is it? The timestamp variable, and I've derived at this variable using this simple date format method, and I've got the current timestamp here. Okay, so let's execute this. Now, there, obviously, like you already know, there are two ways to uh, check this. One is to see it in the simulation stage, right?
Hmm.
If I click on simulation, So I've got this message envelopes. Um, so if I show you before, ah, so before Groovy script, this is the payload which is as expected. There is no property and there's no header right now. Okay.
Hmm.
Now after the payload, you see this message header is file name is produced. Now in our last example today, when we do the SFTP, I'll also show you how this will be actually converted into a file and dropped into a file location outside of CPI. Okay.
Okay.
And the other option, of course, is to put a trace and just deploy it and then look it into the messages. Okay, headers and oops, where is my header?
File name only.
Oh, oh, sorry, I didn't see it. File name, right? Right. So simple Groovy script to. I mean, this is a real scenario. Okay. I mean, because in one of my project we had to do a lot of file-based interfaces. In that, just the normal file stamp, and also there was a case where we had to convert this file stamp into EST. That was also done using Groovy. So in the same Groovy script, I can just put a timestone conversion step, and then it will be converted to EST. Let,
Okay.
let me show you Groovy. So second scenario, what I planned is converting JSON to XML. Okay. So JSON to XML, I've used the same body in JSON format. I
Hmm.
converted the same employee payload into JSON format and feed it into my content modifier. And in my script, what I've used is, let me expand, zoom in a little bit. So
Hmm.
JSON slurper is a class which is used to parse a JSON payload, right? So we parse the JSON payload in a variable called data, and then um, I define XML string using string builder method, right? And then
Hmm.
slowly I appended each of the tags that we have. See, first the root tag is your employees, right? And
Hmm.
then employee, and then rest of the tabs. It's like it is nothing complex. Even like, although you can get it automatically without using your mind as well, but I'm just telling you that constructing a XML is just like constructing a normal text, right? So you just
Hmm.
need to know the format, and yeah, you just append it. Just like you append a table, for example. Okay.
Okay. It is like writing XML only, closing and opening tags and all.
Opening tag and closing tag and the values, right?
Hmm.
And data dot each is like a loop, like it will go until there are entries in this EMP body.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
if we could somehow see it in debug, you will see that each of these EMP employee ID will be in a table. Like right now, it's only two entries, so two row table will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Uh, so this is also something which is a new feature. There are two tabs here, which is general script checks. If you have, let's say, any unused variable, let's say, let me show you. Let me put it in a edit mode first. So general checks general issues with your script, and upgrade friendliness checks any upgrade relevant issue that we are. For example, CPI is deprecating a feature, right? So it will say we are deprecating a feature. Please don't use this syntax. So I mean, these days that's when I think, right? It's very very easy. So
Hmm.
when I started on this platform, this used to be not there. So we used to use external tools like there are external editors for Groovy, web-based editors, just IntelliJ. There is an editor called IntelliJ, for example. We used to use that to run the script and debug it locally if there's a complex script, for example. But now it's relatively easy. This feature is also there, but I haven't, like, I when I try it, it's not functioning. So somehow I think it's a problem. Maybe they have not rolled out fully. Anyway, so what I was trying to show you is, uh, let me body and what is happening. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, now it says there are problems identified with the script. Let's see what is the problem. It will say there are one or more variables that are unused in the script, which is a very good feature, right? I mean, you're not leaving any dead code, right? So general checks, it is helping you. So if there is any, let's say, uh, I think it's not giving me error for this. So probably some limitations. Yeah, ideally it should give me an error for this as well because this is wrong, right? The get board is no
Hmm.
method. So yeah, I think it's not fully evolved yet, but yeah, I think some basics checks are there which should also be helpful. Okay, so let's see the output. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Trace messages. So your payload is converted, right? So
Hmm.
if you see before uh, Groovy, this is your payload, and after Groovy, this is converted to XML. Okay,
Yeah.
simple example. Um, Next, we want to look at dynamic routing. So this is, remember, this is, so I'm slowly showing you all the alternatives, right, to the standard
Hmm.
palettes that we saw, right? So third thing is the routing that we saw, right? So there could be some cases where you don't want to use the standard router because maybe the conditions are too complex. Right now, obviously, I've used a simple condition. So what I'm doing here is, let me show you. So in my payload, this is not a routing actually. Sorry, this is a validation that I'm doing. This
Hmm.
Groovy 3 is different. Anyways, so I have a payload in which I'm using the project data. So I'm doing a validation if my payload um, does not contain a valid project ID, then
Hmm.
project ID is a field, and then it will give me an error. Uh, and otherwise, it will pass through successfully. Right. So let's look at the script now. Okay. So simple script like here, there's a try catch block. In the try catch block, obviously, normally we are getting the body, and in the body we are getting into data, and in the data we are checking if I am having a tag called project ID. If it is not there, then I throw an exception. Otherwise, I have set a property like the same property. I'm using the same property basically error message.
Mhm.
But in the case of success, where the project ID is present, I am outputting successful out processing, and in other case, I am throwing the message project ID is missing.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, okay. All right. Now, in this first example, I deliberately have changed the project ID to project. Right. I'll show you in the body. Oh, second step here. I will show. So project, right? So the
Hmm.
expected output is that it should give me an error. Error message, project ID missing in payload. Right. So right now I've just logged it as a property, but I can do anything with this error message. If I want to send it to somebody, if I want to put it in a file or whatever, right? So remember, properties are just like variables within the this thing. So if I show you the success scenario, I'll have to just modify the body. See, so error message is successful processing because that's what we have coded. Simple if else condition.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at. Um,
So Groovy script we use for the functionalities which are already present in the CPI, but which are complex that we cannot do it with
yes,
those
yes.
palettes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So either you can achieve the same functionality, or sometimes it is not there at all. Like there are cases like that also. Uh, I'll give you an example. So in CPI, again, I have to cross validate that if CPI has come up with a new feature, but at least in 2023 and 4, I believe, the CPI has a zip file feature, okay, where you can zip the file. We have a session on that as well, okay. Now with the standard palette, you can only zip one file.
Hmm.
You cannot zip multiple files. So what we did was I had worked with my team member and we had developed a utility in Groovy script, which using which you can zip multiple files, right? So that is a complex logic. It has both the features. One is that the functionality itself is not there in CPI, and yeah, so it's the functionality itself is not there in CPI. So we have the custom feature to develop it using Groovy. But there are features like the ones that we are doing, the dynamic routing and other things, which can be used by um standard palettes as well. Typically, we won't do that, right? But it depends, right? Sometimes, I mean, it helps us to read, I mean, to understand the Groovy a little better, the simple examples.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now I'm showing you a real practical example, which we use a lot. I mean, although now SAP is, like I told you, right? SAP keeps changing its approaches. So SAP is now coming up with a new approach, but this is about logging, right? So let me first. So when you executed your iFlows, which you have built so far, where do you see the output?
Mostly in the postman, if
Hmm.
I am modifying anything. I don't use this start timer much. And then, yeah, here also integration.
In the monitor, right? So
Yeah.
let's look at some of the executions that we have done. Past month. Okay, so let's say we use this, right? So what you have normally is a message ID, correlation ID. Both are like uniquely to uniquely identify a message, right? But what
Hmm.
else? Uh, let me show you. Request reply with so let's see this. So nothing major, right? Because we didn't use trace, and in production we cannot use trace typically. So how do I
Hmm.
troubleshoot my iflow, right? So I cannot keep the trace on because it will occupy all my memory. This can only be done while I'm building and just checking my stuff, right? So there's not
Yeah.
much information. What if I want to see, let's say I have a complex mapping which I did here, right? This one. So this mapping, which we had done using graphical mapping, what if I want to see what in production scenario, what went into the message mapping, and I want to see that stage of the message as well, and what was
Hmm.
processed out from CPI, right? Because CPI is a middleware. You will get a lot of questions from consumers that, oh, we sent the right payload, but I mean, you sent us the wrong payload, and then you will ask the sender that what was a payload that you sent. They will say that we do not retain it. So to solve those kind of troubleshooting issues, we have a feature of you can use Groovy script to log the payload as well. And
Hmm.
some of these things, right, Ganesh, if you have it once, like if you just, let's say I share with you or you get it from somewhere else and you store it with you, you can use it lifetime because this is something where syntaxes are not changing every day,
Okay.
and it's just a one line state code. If you see, this is the only thing, right? So it says def log message log factory is the CPI built-in class. I get message log object.
Hmm.
I instantiate it. Then in that, in this instance, I call its method add attachment as string, and I have named it so that I can identify. I say before payload snapshot, and then message dot get body dot take 1,000 is the character length that I want to take, right? To restrict that it's not overflowing. Okay, and so here what I've done is, so this Groovy script is for mapping. Okay, this is my
Hmm.
same employee mapping which I had showed you earlier, JSON to XML mapping. So what I've done is I've used the same Groovy script log before and after. Only difference between these two scripts is the text. Here I have written after payload snapshot, and there it's before is before payload snapshot. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's look at this. So no, this let's look at here in our monitoring page. So because let's assume we don't have a trace. Okay. Now how would I see what is the output, what went through, what went in? Okay. So do you see this attachments?
Yes.
This started appearing, right? So there are two options.
Hmm.
Either you can download it, or if I want, I can take a look locally as well. I click on this. So you see before payload snapshot and after payload snapshot. This obviously is not well formatted in XML, but that's how it is.
Hmm.
We can download also and look at it in a better way as well. So this is a very, very useful feature of script. This is one of the most widely used feature of Groovy scripting as of now. But like I said, SAP likes to keep on changing techniques. So now they're saying that this is taking too much space, so you should use a different strategy. But anyways, so
So you used to give exercise, and you used to give the point that we should log that message. So that logging will be done by this Groovy script only, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. You're the perfect student then. Yeah, no.
I have to practice first, then I will get doubts.
Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to wind up quickly today. Let me show you the SFTP adapter now.
Okay.
And I prepared one example for with SFTP usage, the same first example that I was talking about. Right, so let's go there now.
Mm.
Okay, so this is the exact same thing, no change, right? Employee payload, Groovy script is also same, right? Just want to show you, right? So no change here. The only thing I've added is the SFTP adapter, right? So I joined this to a receiver. Typically, in our case, we are not using a receiver because just we are studying the concept. So we're not sending the or receiving the data from anywhere. In this case, the work is starting in CPI with the payload also embedded in CPI, but I'm sending the payload to a third party. I've used
Mm.
a free SFTP software. I'll give the details to you as well so that you can also use to practice. Um, so, like you already know, right, by now, what is an adapter? If you
Yeah.
can, what is it? Just if you can just give it to me for my satisfaction.
Adapter, we use it to send data, like if it is
Yeah.
HTTP adapter,
Send or receive data, both.
send
So
or receive.
see, ultimately, you can send any everything over. Mostly, two three adapters are the core adapter, not adapter. Sorry, two to four maybe maximum protocols are our core protocols, right? HTTP,
Mm.
like REST and OData both goes over HTTP. Even I would say SOAP goes over HTTP, right? So HTTP is our core protocol. Similarly, file, right? It started with FTP and then it came SFTP. SFTP is Secure File Transfer Protocol. These are like the core protocols, right? So,
Mm.
unlike HTTP, this goes over FTP protocol, right? SFTP or FTP, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing in this scenario is the payload that you see will be converted into a file and sent to an external party. Both of these jobs, conversion into a file plus sending to external body, will be done by this adapter. So what are the key attributes of this adapter? Number one is obviously the address of the SFTP location where you want to send it, right? Remember, SFTP is SFTP. It's not like because sometimes when we go and discuss in our meetings and all, the client sometimes thinks that okay, you have SFTP adapter, so you can also throw a file over window. No, we can throw a file over Windows if a drive is FTP or SFTP enabled, right? So it's not the same as NFS file drive, right? That is a different ballgame. So, like this is my address and column 22 is my protocol. So, protocol for SFTP is 22, protocol for FTP is 21. FTP is obsolete. Nobody uses it because it's insecure. Anybody can crack it. Um,
Mm.
then authentication, we are using username and password. We also have a feature of using public key, or dual or dynamic means you can use username and password and key alternatively, right? Um,
Mm.
we don't use that. We generally use a key, open SSH key, right? But in this case, just for the simplicity, I'm using username and password. So in this case, when I have to cover credentials also, but just letting you know. So what does a credential mean? Because what we are saying is username and password, right? So in CPI, if you go to monitoring page, you have a managed security section. If you go there, you have the feature of creating a security material where you can put both username and password. So now from here, if I'm showing you this also, you cannot guess my password because this
Mm-hmm.
is just a credential name. It's not a user, it's not a password. That
Mm.
I've created here, right? So this is my user, but my password is obviously when I input it, only then it will be seen. So you just go and create a user credentials here, put user and password, and that's it.
Okay.
And this is just like timeout. If your connection is not successful, even after 10,000 microsecond milliseconds, it will break and reconnect, delay. It will retry for 3 times the standard features, right? So this is what an adapter makes it easier for us. Otherwise, we'll have to code all of this. Okay,
Okay.
so let's see demo. Okay, it
So
executed.
this file gets saved in that Drive HQ.
Yeah, yeah, I'll show you that as well. So everything is success, right? So it went through. Uh, Now there are two ways to see the file. Sometimes you don't. Most of the times when we are working in a live project, sometimes you can have a test server access, sometimes you cannot. So let's say you don't have that access, right? So how will you check if the my file is actually gone? Because I used to find this over this a lot with my third parties because they said, "Oh, I haven't received a file," and
Hmm.
then if you don't have access to their system, then how will you prove to them that no, I have the sender file? So you go to test connectivity, go to
Hmm.
SSH and put this URL, and port is 22. This here it comes in a separate field, and user credentials you have to use DriveHQ SFTP. This I've stored. Check directory access. What directory I have used here? So this is, I think, the public directory. Let's see. Even when we're working on a project, right? So first, when you get the credentials, the first thing that we do is come here and check if the credentials are valid before using it in our iFlow. Okay.
Okay.
If you see here, this is today's file, October 18 2022,
Hmm.
right? So this is my file, actual file. The second way, right now I have the access, so I can show you where I've stored Drive HQ. Drive. Okay. I had okay. Hopefully my password is stored. Okay, so this is today's file. I can just open and check it as well. It's the same
Hmm.
thing. See?
Yeah.
Good, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I personally am very fascinated, and that's the reason I had moved from a coding ABAP background to this because I like working with multiple third parties. So um, yeah, so that is it. Obviously, I think I'm not sharing the iFlows with you because you prefer doing your own, but I think I'll still upload just for this thing because you can refer the drive HQ details as well. You can
Okay.
If you want, you can use my same credentials as well, or you can go to this website and create your own account, and that will give you your own user and name and password. Either way, I'm fine with LibreOffice. What else? Yeah. Um, I think I already showed you last time in during message mapping that you can use the Groovy script to create a custom function. So practice that as well. This will give you a good comprehensive this thing over message mapping.
Okay.